Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull this unit out and put in a brand new Delta 400 system. Okay, so the first thing I just I'll make sure I get to it before my video and show you everything first. So this is what the thing looks like. And so we take your door off, and you got most of it off now. The top is pops right off. Doors come right out. Take off your side walls of your doors. And once you got the side walls, the side metals off, and you pop the bottom off next. And it's usually, they're just glued down. It could be one screw, but usually not. It's glued on, and pop that off there. And we'll go ahead and cut this unit out. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. It's real simple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut around the perimeter. You have an 1¼ inch flange. Right through here, all the way up. It's 1¼ inch all the way across. Okay, and so you cut approximately 1¼ inch to 1.5 inches all the way around the whole thing. That exposes the flange, and you can pull the nails with a cat's paw, some kind of hammer and a cat's paw, some kind of crowbar, and so we'll cut that out first. So the first thing we'll do is pull off the metal. Second thing is we'll cut the drywall around the perimeter. And then we'll start cutting out the unit itself. It comes out in chunks, and we'll haul it out of here, and we'll expose what we have to do. Okay, you want to use your skill saw, and just, any old carbide blade will work. And just make some nice cuts around it. So I cut around the base, so I don't have to worry about that drain there. And that'll just stay there until I'm ready to dissect that part. And just make a couple of cuts, all the way around. And that way, you know how many pieces you're going to have this unit. So you can see here that this is going to be one piece right here. And that'll be one piece. And you can see the pieces that are all going to cut out of here. So it'll be like 4 pieces, 5 pieces, and this thing's all out. Okay. Okay, you want to use your Sawzall to finish off the cuts. Bring them. You can only get so close with a skill saw. So use your Sawzall to finish everything else off. And you're ready to go. Once you got everything totally dissected, cut out, you know how many pieces you're going to have there, and start taking it apart. It's real simple. Just pull it apart, and I'll take out one part, I'll take a piece of one part and let you see it, but I'll go pretty simple after that. Okay, as I previously said, you want to cut your drywall off. 1¼ inch to 1.5 inches above your unit, and then get it out of there with a cast bar or pry. You'll expose the flange. Okay, by exposing the flange, you'll be able to get to the screws or nails or whatever fasteners you have on yours. Okay, and so I'm going to go around and do that to the whole unit, and then once I do that, it'll all just kind of cave right in. So go ahead and do exactly that. Okay, as I said, get the perimeter cut off, and once you do that, you'll be able to see your fasteners, and just go ahead and pull them all. Once you do that, every one of these pieces that we have pre-cut out, you can't get back far enough for you to see, but right there, that's one piece, another piece, another piece, and another piece. So it should come out in 4 pieces. Only weighs about maybe 30 pounds per piece, so it's not very heavy, and they fit right out the door. Any door, it can go right. Yeah, it can't come in. Well, they're one piece. They got to be put in when you're building. Before you get too far along, you put these things in place. They can never come back out the door. They'll never fit through a door. So you have to take them apart in pieces. That's why we're doing this. And then the new ones that you put in come in. They install in 4 pieces. They got a base and 3 walls. So you take them apart like this, 4 pieces or so, and you're ready to go. Okay. Even with cutting it down into 4 pieces, that still is not going to fit through some. They have corridors in this house, so it was too wide to go through the corridors. I can't turn it around, so I'm just going to go ahead and dissect it a few more times. So I'm going to take one more cut across this ridge right here, and I'll do that here. I'll cut that up right there, so it'll be 2 pieces instead of 1. And here I'll just cut straight down, so it'll be 2 pieces. Each one of these will be cut in half, and this will have 8 pieces altogether. You got to do what you got to do. It only takes a couple seconds, but you got to get them out of here so you can bring the new ones in. Okay, once you've relocated the plumbing, so you guys remember in the earlier picture, it was right over here to your left, where the hole's at. I had to put it over here to the right. That's where our new one is at. And if you're going to use the Delta 400, then you'll just go off the dimensions right there on the box. It works out perfect. And so you just measure off each of the studs. So you just measure from here to the center line, and from here to the center line. And that's your dimension. Anyway, it's all in there. It's all set. And works totally awesome. It all looks perfect right there. And now we're going to get ready to dry fit the unit. You want to dry fit I got measurements up here already where I cut it out for what I believe is the way it's all going to fit. I mean, I'll let you know here if it doesn't, but that's all normal measurements taken off the box. The way it should fit with the top of the flange just being underneath that drywall there. So the top of the flange will be right along the edge. And so everything should work out perfect. So as we come down now again, we got our new valve in, and it's hooked up to the old copper that was there. Then we got our water over here. It was hooked up to the old water that was there before, and we just tied new PEX into the old PEX. It's all simple process. You use shark bites or use PEX fittings. Either way, it works out perfect. And so we're all set. Just so you know, that thing that goes out to your left there is a frost-free valve for outside. That's the exterior wall there. So that's what's going off to the left there. But everything else is standard and normal. And like I said, we come up here, everything's perfect. And so everything's good. This all works out perfectly fine. If you have any questions, put them down below. But I'm going to go ahead and dry fit the tub in so you can see what it looks like. Okay, that's the base dry fit in. And as I come over, you can see, I think you can see, it's perfect. Lines up exactly according to the measurements. And so anyway, that'll work out good. So we know that works. And now we're going to put in the walls and see how they line up. And you want to get your measurement for this wall. This wall here just fits right in. There's nothing there, no plumbing, there's nothing to attach to. So that's pretty self-explanatory. But over here, some people ask, how do you get the right measurement for this valve? And again, what you want to do is measure off, when you get it all set in there, measure off of your right side. So when you put it all in there, you can't really measure off this side over here, because with the Delta 400, it's got this wavy look and everything. It's hard to see what you're doing. So what you do is this wall over here, it's got a perfectly level edge of the unit. So we're gonna mark that out where it goes exactly, and then measure over back to the center line. So it'll go from the edge of the new one straight over to the center line of that, and then from the base, we know that's not going to move, so it goes from the base here where it touches right up to the center line of that. Okay, and so those two measurements will get you a hole, and you put in a hole substantial for that. So I think like at Harbor Freight, they sell these little hole saw kits for like $10 or something. It'll give you a 5.5 inch or 6-inch blade. There's a whole package, like 10 blades or something each one. And so you just put in like a 6-inch hole. Well, whatever size hole you want, as long as it's smaller than your cover that covers it, it'll be fine. But you got to have access so you can access the unit. Okay? So anyway, I'll show you how that all done here in a second. Okay, once you dry fit the back wall in, that's your first step. Put the back wall in first. As you can see, it goes around right below the drywall there. That's the way it's supposed to look. And now we're going to go ahead and put this other wall here, which is, again, there's no encumbrances. There's no plumbing or anything, so it should go right in. It'll tell us where to go. I went ahead and drilled little holes right where the studs are at. You can see little holes there. Just drilled little holes right in the middle of the studs. Wherever it lines up, doesn't matter where it lines up, just anywhere in that realm is fine. So as many studs as you have, utilize. Doesn't matter how many there are, it works fine. It's all engineered to be self-supporting. Okay, I'm going to be adding a stud. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to be adding a stud here on this edge because there's nothing there. That's where the end of the shower is going to be. So I'm going to be adding a stud there. On this side also, there's no stud right here where you see the edge of the one's going to be. So I'll be adding a stud there also. But for now, I'm going to dry fit it in and see what it looks like. Okay, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, here we've got this left side on now. Again, as I said, there's no encumbrances like plumbing or anything, so it just goes right in. You can see how the drywall's cut at the top. You just want to fit right in, so you can just patch in that little portion there, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. And you can see, as I was telling you before, see the stud missing? It doesn't hit that old stud from the old unit. It misses it entirely, so I got to add a new stud up against that other one. Give myself some backing for this wall, because that's what holds this whole thing together. You have a couple nails. You have a couple nails up in here where the studs were at, and then all your nailing is going to be right along this edge. The rest is just silicone. So you silicone this whole thing down, and you silicone it across the bottom here. It holds it all together, but you have to have proper nailing. So the point is, whatever you have on top is viable, okay? And then you have to have a nice one along the whole edge so you can put in a number of fasteners that'll hold the thing secure. Then once you put the silicone in, and it makes it perfect, okay? All right, so anyway, as you can see, it looks totally awesome. I mean, that's a nice fit. Everything's level, everything's perfect, and it looks absolutely dynamite. Yeah, this whole thing is just looking perfect. This is a great unit. I love these things. They're fantastic. The Delta 400 Classics, totally awesome. Anyway, so I'll go put this other side on. And again, as I told you, now remember over here on this side, so you can get understanding of what I'm talking about. Let's say that the valve went on this side. Okay, but there's no way to measure off this side here because it moves and flexible. This doesn't move. Once we know this is secure, you measure from here over to the cartridge, and then from your base, right here, we know that's not moving either, straight up to the middle of the cartridge. Okay, that's where you'll get your middle for your 6-inch hole. Okay, and but it's of course on this side, so now you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you're going to come over here. You're going to take a measurement from, take my finger out here, from the base straight on up to the center line, right in the center line of that dot right there, which is your valve bolt, you know, and then from the edge straight over to the center line. Okay, once we got that edge measurement. All right, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, just go ahead and get me right there, keep me in there. Now, the reason I was telling you to measure from over here, again, once you set that side up over there, you're going to measure from here, because this part here, or this edge here is not going anywhere. Once it's pushed up against it, okay, that's all tight, everything's level, everything's perfect. So you can measure off here to the center line of that point, and then again from the base up. That gives you that point, because you can't measure from here, okay, because it could be off a little bit, because this thing here moves. Okay, you see that? And it still moves, and it's always going to move until you silicone it. And then it hooks to this one. This one will be stable. That'll stabilize that. It's stable at the top, because it'll be nailed in. It'll be at the bottom, all pushed in and secure too. But this middle here would flex if you didn't have a silicone. A lot of people ask, you need to silicone the whole thing? Yes. You need to silicone the whole thing. Make it absolutely perfect. And that's your weakest link, is people don't do a good job siliconing. Use pure 100% great silicone. Okay, they want you to use DAP 3.0, but the stuff just doesn't work. There's no workability unless you get a brand new tube. So your best bet is to go with super high quality, 100% pure white silicone. It blends in perfectly, the same exact color. You can't even tell it's there. I'll show you that when we're all done. But it's absolutely perfect. Okay. Okay, when you go to get the measurement for this, you want to measure from the base straight up to the very center line of this point, and then from here straight over to the center line of this point. And the only way you can really do that, I was trying to figure out a way to show you from this side, but it's too hard for you, so I'll make it as easy as I can. Make sure this is all the way back, so it looks flush with this. It looks like one piece other than the crack. That way you know it's all the way back as far as it goes. Then you look up here, it's the same thing. It's all the way back as far as it goes. Then that's straight, relatively straight. It's not perfect, but it's relatively straight. If the bottom's good and the top's good, it's relatively straight. Okay, and you get a measurement from here straight over to the center line. All right, from here straight to the center line here. And that'll be your measurement here. So you got a measurement up and a measurement over. That's the point of this in a 6-inch hole. All right, I'm going to show you that in a minute. But the point is, that'll be close enough. It can be off a hair because this thing, like I was telling you before, this flexes a little bit, but not enough. I mean, it's touching the bottom, touching the top. Then don't push in on it. Don't push in on it. Just measure right from where it's at. If it's touching the top and touching the bottom, just let it go. Wherever it's at, that's straight. Okay, don't worry about the fact that you can push it in farther. Don't push it in. Just measure from here straight over to the center. Okay? Okay, as I was saying, they sell these kits down at Harbor Freight for like $10 or something, not very much. And they got a whole slew of bits in them. And so you just want to put the biggest one in. Okay, that'll be like a 6-inch, 5.5 inch, whatever it is. And it's big enough for what we need. And then the flange that goes over is much bigger and covers the whole thing. Okay, so grab one of these kits, put that in there, a couple of bucks, and you're in business. And you'll be able to use this kit for a number of other things. Okay, well, I'll answer a question I already got from the customer. She was out here wondering which side is the top and which side is the bottom. Okay, she goes, how do you know which one? Because you're about to cut a hole, and how do you know which way is up or down? And how you can tell is it does look a lot similar. So how you can tell is the fact that there's a flange. The flange is on the top, on that side. It's on the top and the right. Okay, and so you have top right here. You have right here. So that flange right down there, you see it? So you have the top, you have the right, and that part there, it's a flange of sorts, and it goes behind. That's what stabilizes this whole unit. When it stabilizes one wall to the next wall, it goes right there. Now on the bottom, you'll see there's no flange. Okay, so that's what that sits on your base. No flange sits on your base on the back wall and both side walls. Okay, so just like that, you'll just look over and see there's no flange, and you go up. That must be the bottom. Now I orient him left to right. All right, I just showed you that. Okay, your flange on the right, on the top I mean, and then on the right, and it works out perfect. You can also see the radius here. See the radius on the bottom there? This is squared off right there. Anyway, so that's your side. Okay, so as I said, make sure your bottom is touching right there. As you can see, it is. In other words, it looks just like the base, looks just like the walls. It's perfectly in line. I can't step over there now because number one, I don't have a tarp. Number two, I still have my hole cut out because I'm just dry fitting this thing. So anyway, I can't step out there just yet. So you can see right here that they're lining up perfectly. Okay, they're pushing in. This was pushed all the way back to the back. So we know that's where it goes. So you'll get your measurements to the center line of this thing here by going to the top, right to the top of this here. Straight to your middle of your unit, okay, which is 43 1/4. That's right there in the middle. And then from here, you're going to go from here to the middle of this unit, which is 12 1/2. Okay, so you can see right here, it's just touching it. You know, as long as it's touching there, you let this one here. Do not flex it in. You get a bad measurement. All right, let it just be stable. We know it's straight, and once you silicone it, it'll make it solid. So right now, don't push it in and get a measurement. Just measure straight off of it. All right, let's go outside and cut that thing. Okay, as I measured 12 1/2, a little mark right there. And then measured over from here, straight up, 43 1/4. A little mark right there. So that's my point. All right, it's 12 1/2 in, 43 1/4 from this edge, from that edge where it would be touching, and right there where it would be touching. Okay. Now, I want you to drill a small hole right there. Oh, all right, let me go get my dad. I'll be right back. Okay, so I want you to get a small drill bit, doesn't matter what size, and put it right in your point there, and drill through. All right, because I don't want you taking your big giant drill, which is right here, stay right there, which is right here. I don't want you taking, you're going to be putting this on there and drill through. If you put it on there like that and drill through, something could come loose. These things are pretty cheap and cheesy, so you don't want to be messing the thing up. So if you put it on right here, something can come loose and mess up your scar up your face. Okay, you don't want to do that. Just put your little hole there. turn it around. Boy, one-handed and everything. All right, anyway, so then you'll just simply put it in your hole. Okay, no issues. And so even if you would have cut through the other side, there wouldn't have been no issues. But you don't know. These things are so cheap, they could loosen up and then scar it up. So that's the point. Once you're like this, you know, you can just scrape off your extra. It pulls right off, all your little doodads here. Okay, clean her up and we're ready to go install it. Okay, I'm done dry fitting. You know, as you can see how the hole turned out. Absolutely perfect, dead nuts centered. Okay, again, do what I told you and you'll be fine. If you do something different, you might not be. Anyway, our measurements all turned out fine. As I told you before, I got to add a stud because the existing studs don't pan out. So I got to add a stud right here so I have a nice nailer for my entire flange. So I'll put that in next. Same thing on the other side. There's no nailer. So I'll put that one in next also. Then we'll have a nailer and I can keep going on this thing. So everything's dry fitting there and perfectly fine. This unit is perfect. You can see here that it's absolutely dead nuts. It looks absolutely great, the reveal. Okay, reveal's looking perfect. Right now on this side here, you can see a gap. Okay, that gap can't stay. You could fill it with silicone, but literally you don't want to do that. It'll be your weak link. So what you want to do is, because you can't move this side here, you can see how the thing lines up perfectly right there. I mean, that actually could come out another 1/8 of an inch. That would make the gap even bigger. So we don't want to do that. I'm kind of splitting the difference here, but I'm going to leave that right there, which is pretty close. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put a little shim at the back of the back panel. Okay, so over, I'm going to hold this behind here. I'm going to put one behind here when I go to take this thing all apart. I'm going to put a little shim here. I can see right now it's an 1/8 inch off. Okay, so I'm going to put an 1/8 inch shim right there at the back. It's going to hold that out an 1/8 of an inch. That'll let the reveal be perfect. Okay, and make for a nice caulking joint. All right. So you got to do what you got to do on these things. They're not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty darn close. You can see here. I mean, that is pretty close manufacturing, you know. So it's all looking great and looking wonderful. I'll do a couple more things and we're ready to finish her up. Okay, got the floor all patched in perfectly. And using the extra insulation I had just laying in the thing, just went ahead and put it around their pipes. So it's kind of dulled the sound a little bit. Not that it matters, this is all indoor bathroom. That's the toilet over there, so it's all inside of a door. But anyway, just in case. I had extra, so I threw it in there. So I got all the insulation put back in. And it's now perfect. So it's ready to go. I got everything to dry fit before. And so it should just go right on in, put it in, nail it up, silicone it, and mud it up. It's going to be all perfect. So I'll go through step by step with you. Okay, all dry fitted in. Insulation's all back in. It's ready to go in. So got the base on now. You want to screw it in wherever their studs are. Doesn't matter how many there are. Doesn't matter where they're located. Just put them in, and you'll be all set. Okay. Now we'll go with the back wall. Once the base is in, tight and secure, level, everything perfect. You don't level it now. And part of your dry fitting is making sure the ground is absolutely level. I didn't really do that on this job because everything was perfectly level, but on other jobs, go ahead and look at my other videos. It shows how to level the floor if yours is unlevel. But anyway, this one was level, so I just put it in there and then made sure it was level as before I screwed it in. So then you go to the next step, which is the back wall. Okay, so we got it all nailed in now. Looks absolutely perfect. You can see that. The base looks absolutely gorgeous. And then this is the way the Delta 400 Classic looks. Totally awesome. And you can see the reveals on it are just perfect. It's a nice thing. We've got to fill that in now. And like I said, I'll show you what to do to fill that void in before, right? That way you can finish drywalling it around the perimeter. And you can see the joints. Look at that joint, man. Is that perfect or what? So anyway, everything's great. And I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. So what we want to do is on these things here is just put in anything. Now, if you have drywall, you know, you can use that, but it's not necessarily preferred. It's anything you can do to fill it in. And since this is half-inch drywall, if you put on a half-inch, then this screw, I use these screws to hold it in. They're nice, big, heavy, flat screws, so they have a big washer on them. And so they're really bitchy because they're thin as far as depth. I don't know if I can show you that. Anyway, they're not very thick, but they have a big washer on them. Anyway, so they make them super strong for these kind of things. So we'll pick some of those up as far as installing it. And then, but when you put on a half-inch drywall over this, let me see if I can show you. It'll go from here, which is half-inch, and then it'll go over here, and it'll be buttoned over that. So you're sticking over the 1/8 inch of the fiberglass plastic, and then you're also sticking over another 1/8 inch or so for the screw. So you're way up there. So you're better off with 3/8 or 1/4 inch or some other kind of product that'll go from this point to that point, and then you screw it on so that way everything still stays straight. And then we'll put on the mud over it, and it'll look perfect. So some kind of product, whatever you can find. If all you can use is half-inch drywall, you just have to deal with it, you know. Because normally when we build these things from scratch, when your house is brand new built, you have studs coming across here like this, and then we just lay the drywall right over it, which is perfectly fine because we're coming all the way out to the corner, see? Or usually over this side, you can see, if it was a half-inch coming across the wall, which is who cares, just coming across the wall and it just comes over and hits that, and there would be it would be slightly higher because it's sitting on some, you know, another 1/4 inch material, but nobody cares. That's just the way it's always done in the business. But when you're remodeling, you really can't do that. Or you shouldn't, I don't think. So anyway, use something smaller, whatever will fit in there, just to fill the void, and then we'll tape it and mud it, and it'll be perfect. Okay? So just find some kind of product, any kind of product. I'm using paneling and all kinds of stuff, whatever I can find that'll fit that joint. And then from there, I'll tape it and then mud it. All right, that's the whole program, guys. Let me go ahead and... Okay, when you go to fill the void, it looks something like that. Again, you just want to... I'm using smart siding. It's called LP smart siding. And what's so good about this product is that it's an OSB product, oriented strand board. But it's by Louisiana Pacific, and it's called smart siding. And this stuff here, literally, you could take it and throw it into a pond, come back a year later, and it's still 100% viable. The stuff is just fantastic. It's got the most killer exterior glues in it, and so it literally has, it's damn near water impervious, and so it really makes it really nice for this kind of situation. But also what's good about it is 3/8 inches, and again, we talked about this before. This being a half-inch, hold on a second, better. This being a half-inch and this being 3/8, those screws and everything you saw up there are going to hold it away. So your flange is 1/8 inch, the screws a little bit more too. So all that together makes it stick out some. And so if you put a half-inch material on here, it would really bow out. Okay, so it's nice is with this 3/8 product, you stick it on there, you staple it on or screw it on or nail it on, whatever you got. And then once it's on there solid, you tape this joint here, okay, and it becomes straight across. I mean, literally, this is almost perfect right now. It's in a little bit right here because it's 3/8 versus half-inch, but totally fine. It fills it when you put your tape there and you fill it with mud. It makes it perfect, and so it makes a perfect transition right over. Whereas the half-inch, if you put a half-inch product, it would stick out an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch more than it is now. So anyway, it's perfect. It's a good way of doing it. I usually on my videos don't show this, and people are always aggravated at me. How do you finish it? So that's how you finish it. I'm going to go ahead and continue that all the way around and get this thing done, and I'll show you that right before we start mudding. Okay? Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Just put on a piece of smart siding up there. I'm going to cover the joint really well. And now, of course, exactly what I just said a minute ago, you have the half-inch product, okay, and then you have 3/8 product, and it's pretty flush, pretty good. That's about what you want. Because if you look behind you, he screws and the 1/8 inch flange that's sticking out. So this thing here goes in there, and it's roughly the same. I mean, it's pretty freaking close. And so it is a good water resistant product, and right against the thing. Once you get this all done, all your mudding's done. You're just going to simply silicone it around the entire thing, so it'll be washable also. And when you got washable paint and washable, this is washable. Your silicone should be washable, so it all just cleans up really nice and makes it beautiful. So, but to fasten this, you don't want to nail it for sure. You want to screw it, but you want to pre-drill it. So I got it clearly marked out where my studs are at. Like here, you can see the studs are here. So you got it clearly marked out. And also, I don't want to hit the screw when I put in another screw to hold this product in place. I don't want to hit that screw. And so I just simply marked it just to the side of it. Okay. And so you see the stud in there. It'll go in there and it'll still fasten to the stud, but miss the screw. Okay. And so anyway, get your studs all marked out, pre-drill them, and throw in the screw. Again, I'm using these screws here. It's just a good product. They're thin, but they have a washer on them, but they're thin, so it works out real nice. A thin head, but big, so it really is nice. Anyway, these are, about 1.25 inch screws or whatever. And you want to be able to hook into that stud real well, okay? Okay, we are ready for mudding now. So we're going to put on our tape. And when you guys do tape, you can use a product like that. You can use paper tape, but it's just, valueless. There's no reason to do it. Anyway, if you have some and you want to use it up, feel free. But put on some mesh tape around the entire thing. And again, you don't want to put the tape on all your joints. Okay, all the joints have tape, but you don't want to get tape up against here. It just makes it a real mess. So just stay away from that edge, at least very much, at least 1/4 inch away. So because tape's small, you want to go from about here to here. Okay, and just stay away from this edge. You don't want to be getting caught on that with your mud. And anyway, so just tape it around, get all your joints taped, and then I'll show you the taping a bit right before I start mudding. But that's it, guys. Okay. I shouldn't go so fast, probably. It's going to look like that, and it's just perfect. Okay, it's all fastened and secured in there. Everything turned out absolutely perfect, and we're ready to start mudding. Okay. Okay, that's the way your taping should look. Again, it's not really nothing to look at, but point is just go around all your seams, stay away from the edge, and you'll be all set. Okay? Do whatever you got to do to make this thing happen. Start putting on your mud and letting it dry. As we go through the coats of mud, we're going to put on 2 or 3 coats, whatever it takes to make it straight and perfect. Then we'll texture. And I'll show you a couple different steps during that. Okay, that's her. It's all set up, ready for paint now. And the customer wants to paint it, and I'm not sure the color yet. I don't know if they picked one out yet, but we're going to do that. And so she's all set. Anyway, if you have any questions, just put them down below, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Okay?